So I had a really good holiday. I met many dogs, played Scrabble, found a tiny piece of toast, and even said hello to a spider.
Hello, spider. Hello. What? I'm saying hello to the spider.
But it was not as lovely as it seems, because Ryanair fucked me over. So we arrive at the airport ready to go on holiday when we realise our flight's been delayed. This wasn't terrible news for me because it meant I could desperately use up what free Wi-Fi I had left before losing data for a week. However, this delay would cause us to be late into Portugal and thus make us late to pick up our rental car, which we were charged for. But we eventually made it onto the plane and we arrived in Portugal safely. Also, one quick thing, it cost us £7 for 2 bottles of water and a juice. £7! And from here on, we had a great holiday. And then came the day to travel home. We drove back to the airport and literally just as we were taking our suitcases out of the car, we received the worst message you can ever receive at an airport. Apologies, but your flight has been cancelled. Cancelled! Immediately my mum freaks out and I message my dad, who was obviously really helpful. I really don't deal with sudden change very well, so when you get a text not long before you're meant to fly home and find out it's been cancelled, it's not great news. Bravely, I said, it could be worse, and continue to happily watch Mess Yourself on the floor of an airport. So to cut a long story short, our flight had been cancelled with no explanation and no flights within the next 2 days going to an airport near our house. And I found myself catching up on a week's worth of YouTube in a sweaty pile of misery. It only continued to get worse when our boarding gate was a room with no chairs. Face of the current situation. What was your face with the current situation? What? Face of the current situation. Exactly. For some reason I become unbelievably positive in moments like this, and I was sure in my head that things could not get any worse. We booked a new flight that was going to land 2 or 3 hours from where we lived, and everything was going to be fine.
Nope.
We found out that our seats would be scattered across the whole plane. Bearing in mind this happened on our original flight and my mum had to pay extra to put us back together. But now because we've got a new flight, it happened again. I was in row 1, Amy was in row 8, my mum was in row 9 and my aunt was in row 30.
Thank you.
Amy.
Whoops. Thank you very much.
This is ridiculous.
No.
Bye then.
Perfect, thank you.
See you later, I'll just sit back here with me on my own. I've flown apart from a group before and sat next to strangers who clearly would rather strangle themselves than have a conversation with me, so I was sure I'd be okay. But for some reason I didn't realise that row 1 would be the very front of the plane, and that row 1 was in front of the door. Now, I am not coordinated at the best of times. In fact, while on holiday, Amy refused to let me into a china and crockery shop, fearing that I would break something. So I was not ready to be the first person to have to jump out of a plane and assist others doing so should we crash. Now, I have diagnosed anxiety, so if there was ever a time to have a panic attack, now would not be it. I think I was just so tired and everything that had happened in the day just hit me and my brain just said, shit, and started freaking out, and this photo perfectly explains what was going on. So I already hate the process of airports and flying, so being sat at the front of the plane did not help. Firstly, watching the door being shut right in front of me and all the locks being secured and stuff is an unpleasant experience for any person, I would think, but especially a nervous flyer. As well as the rattling of every single trolley or seat in the aeroplane as we took off. Plus, I think the 2 strangers sat next to me were just wondering, what the fuck is this girl doing? As I shoved my hands in my ears and wiggled into a ball on my seat. In the past, I've dealt with my travel anxiety by playing my comfort song, Hail, Rain or Sunshine by The Script, on repeat. No joke, when I was flying to England from Singapore, I had that song playing for 12 straight hours. But instead of playing my favourite song, I decided to stay in my little anxiety ball, ignoring the looks the cabin crew sat directly in front of me were giving, and I waited for my mother to visit me so I could unload my emotional mess of a person onto her. She didn't come. Eventually I moved after getting awful cramp in my neck and just tried to enjoy the rest of the flight. That was until a curious little toddler walked over and started playing with the handles on the door of the plane while his mother's back was turned. Luckily, I did enjoy the rest of the flight. I managed to plan this video and we landed safely. And that's it! That's how Ryanair managed to completely fuck up everything they could have done in a day. And sure, we are going to be compensated, but I will never, ever fly with them again. I also don't want anyone at Ryanair to be offended by the shit I've just talked about, because a lot of the staff members were actually really funny. We had a lot of banter with them and I think they were just as pissed off as we were. Thank you guys for watching this video. I don't think I've ever put this much effort into a video because I'm lazy. But if you did enjoy it, please give it a like, it would be really helpful. Please also remember to subscribe and I will see you soon. Bye!
Do it again.